okay. We're going to be delayed a minute or two. How are you? How are you?
Exhausted. Shot. It's been a horrible month, huh?
I like your necklace. haven't been able to make it to the weekday classes lately. Are we good? Okay. Um, Sorry for the delay, technical delay in the, um, for anyone who happens to be watching. There is a technical delay in the equipment. So the Open Space and Ecology meeting for April 9th, 2014 is now in session. Here's my agenda. Show for the record that all members are present. And are there any changes to the current agenda?
Yes, I have visited Owl Canyon, the entrance to Owl Canyon twice since our last meeting, which is the site for part of the site for our proposed June cleanup day.
Uh-huh.
And just wanted to give a brief report on what I saw there.
Okay, so let's add that to number 9. We'll make that sort of 9B.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to remove item 7 because I did not find my notes from the CAG meeting and I didn't bring them.
Okay.
And then item 5, we have one thank you letter, but I haven't written mine yet, so I don't know exactly what we want to discuss there. Are there any other changes to the agenda? Move to adopt? Is there
I move to adopt.
second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And any oral communications for items not on the agenda?
Where's the vast public?
Okay, so I do have one item, and that's just to make people aware that there is a piece of property along the rail spur in Crocker Industrial Park up at 201 South Hill Drive that the city is contemplating selling to Shanghai Bakery. It's a complicated issue. It was discussed at Monday night's council meeting. It was put on hold until the early May, and I just think that the people should be aware of it. I also think that we don't have time to agendize it and make a recommendation from the Open Space and Ecology Committee because it's not on the agenda. But I think that everybody should review that and speak up about it one way or the other.
Where is it?
It is a piece of property of the old Southern Pacific Railroad spur and is up where South Hill Drive, on the west side of South Hill Drive before it meets West Hill Drive, adjacent to Shanghai Bakery at 201 South Hill Drive.
Okay.
I think it's an important piece of property because it is the only public access that leads up to Devil's Arroyo and on up to the Wax Myrtle Trail, even though it's not very accessible right now. But that's my personal opinion, and I'm just bringing it up as oral communications for an item not on the agenda. So the next item on the agenda is a very happy welcome to Michael Abney, our local chiropractor, who is now on the Open Space and Ecology Committee. And Michael, do you want to say a few words about yourself and what brought you to Brisbane and what brought you to the committee? And please always speak into the mic so that in case anyone is listening, they'll know what we're talking about.
My wife and I moved to Brisbane in 1993, and I was working in South City, so we were trying to get closer to work. I met the local chiropractor here, and over the course of a year, purchased his practice and been practicing here for the last 20 plus years. Over the years, I've been involved in a lot of many community events and activities, a part of the Lions Club. I try to attend some important meetings, and I've just over the years decided that I'd like to get more involved with the city and try to figure out more about what's going on. I thought the Open Space and Ecology Committee was the best place to start that. So that's why I'm here.
Excellent. And do you have a particular interest?
It's a little early to have particular interests because I've already reviewed quite a bit of the information, and it's very vast, and there's a huge learning curve for me to catch up on. So I am going to have to take it slow and chime in as I go.
Well, you are very welcome to join us. I'm very excited about that. Then next is item 4 on the agenda, which is my favorite item on tonight's agenda, which is rotation of the chair. And Kima is the vice chair currently and has expressed an interest to wait one more year before stepping up to the chair. And so we need someone else to do that for the next year. And I'm thinking Barbara would be loving to do that.
Um, well, I suppose if I have everybody's vote of confidence, I would consider doing that.
You have my vote of confidence.
You have my vote of confidence.
I'm
Michael
happy.
doesn't know any better.
You don't count, Michelle, because you just want to escape.
Actually, it's been a very interesting and challenging year, and there is a lot of responsibility with the chair because you help set the agenda and kind of drive the meeting and everything. And I've so appreciated the support of the committee this year because it was particularly tough year with doing the draft EIR, and it was, an onerous task. But I am really looking forward to not sitting in the hot seat and letting someone else do it for a while. And Glenn has certainly served her time over the years. I'm sure she'll cycle back up soon, but
Barbara would be great.
oh, so
Yeah.
let's vote. Can we just vote, Stuart?
Or do you have to make a motion?
Oh, okay.
I motion to vote Barbara in.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Okay.
Okay.
Barbara, I'll be happy to continue to support the chair of the committee as vice chair. So
Great.
happy to help you. But given that I'm getting married in a couple months and planning the wedding, I don't think I could take on another responsibility right now. So thank you.
So do we need to nominate and do that too? Okay.
Okay.
So we didn't,
I would like to nominate Kima as my vice chair.
is there a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And so Stuart, should we change now?
No.
We generally do it.
No.
Okay. Close. Okay. Well. Okay. So congratulations, Barbara. I'm looking forward to having you chair, and I think it's going to be great. Thank you, letters to previous members. If you'd like to pass the one.
Yes.
Okay, a beautiful letter, I believe, crafted by Glenn, thanking Mary Gutenkunst for her service, and we've all signed it, and I believe Natalie will be giving it to her, but should I read it out loud? Okay, dear Mary, it is hard to express adequately the appreciation of your fellow members of the Open Space and Ecology Committee for your contributions to OSEC or to convey our sense of loss at your departure. Thank you. We miss you. In your 12 years of service to OSEC, you've played an important role in almost everything OSEC has done, from public education at Days in the Park to preserving important habitat in Brisbane Acres, from Habitat Restoration Day to reviewing the draft EIR. Your intelligence and sharp eyes have improved the quality of our work, not to mention our grammar. You have probably done more than any single person in Brisbane to inform us all about the chemical history, geology, and hydrology of the Brisbane Baylands. You're one of the people whose work is giving the butterflies, flowers, and native grasses of San Bruno Mountain a better shot at a future. Brisbane is a better place to be because you live here. Thank you, Mary, for all of it and for your generosity, good cheer, and willingness to pitch in a dozen situations. The Open Space and Ecology Committee of the City of Brisbane officially proclaims Mary Gutenkunst Appreciation Day, date to be determined, to be celebrated with the digging of dirt, the building of garden boxes, and the drinking of beer at your house. Let us know when. So, I'll get, Natalie, this will be here for you. So, Glenn has set the bar pretty high. I've taken on the task of writing a couple of other letters, which I haven't done yet, so I will. The next item on the agenda is Brisbane Acres lot coverage. And in your packet, you have a map of the properties that are considered Brisbane that are Brisbane acres. And on the map, it shows the green ones, which are open space, city-owned parcels now. Shows the parcels that are water department parcels. And it also shows priority conservation areas, priority preservation area, excuse me, and the Ds for developed parcels. And as you can see, there's still several vulnerable parcels in the acres. One of the things about the acres that differ from the other properties in Brisbane is that they are larger size parcels that were supposed to be extremely low density and to maintain as much open space around them as possible because of the unique properties of being the interface zone with San Bruno Mountain, and also that it's more rural and it's hilly and it's part of the wildlands of Brisbane. And recently there was a property that came up where the plans included a 650 square foot interior courtyard. Our regular building ordinances in Brisbane do not consider interior courtyards as part of the footprint of the house if it does not have a roof, and if there's certain other conditions met, like not having a paved floor, or like, and it's very ambiguous, and I feel that this is in contrariness to the spirit of the lot coverage ordinances for the Brisbane acres. And I would like the Open Space and Ecology Committee to recommend that interior courtyards, completely enclosed interior courtyards, are considered as part of the footprint of a house, because it is not open space in terms of being able to interface with habitat. Now, most building codes in urban areas and suburban areas consider an open roofed interior courtyard not as part of the footprint of the house, because it doesn't count when you're talking about what you're selling the house for in terms of square footage.
Correct.
But I feel that there's a real conflict of purpose in this part of the ordinance affecting houses and properties being developed in the Brisbane acres. It's not, the rest of Brisbane where it's not the acres, if you have an interior courtyard, it's pretty much standard of what everybody does. But I think that the acres are special, and that's why they have a special set of rules, just like a lot of other areas have special sets of rules. And I would like that part of this ordinance to be tightened up and specified. And as the Open Space and Ecology Committee, I feel that it's important that we make a recommendation to the City Council about this particular issue, so that we can close the gap and make a consistent ruling. Because otherwise, you could, in theory, build all the way out as far as you could to the edge of a property, except for the setbacks, and have a huge interior courtyard, and that's not in keeping with the spirit of the ordinances governing development of the Brisbane acres.
I think you have a really good point, Michelle, and I think, I don't know what the sort of architectural term of it is, but when you create this interior space, it makes the house more massive, and so that cuts down on the view shed, and it makes the house look a lot bigger than a simple floor space number would seem to indicate. So
Yes.
I think, and I think in the case of the house that was referenced earlier, that's probably a big part of the problem, is that it makes the house much more obstructive because there's all that interior space that is being allowed and isn't being accounted for.
Yeah.
I guess, I see your point too, and I think it's an important one, but I guess my question is the expansion of the perimeters of this house, because that's what we're talking about, right?
This house is off the table. It's a done deal. Anything that we
But,
recommend will.
so is the expansion of the perimeters of a house really going to affect the habitat value of the lot?
Well, it will, in terms of being able to pass through like butterflies, insects, animals, wind, all of the things that kind of preserve, because there is habitat. I mean, that's one of the reasons why in the Northeast Ridge, they're not allowed to have solid fences, so that they, there can be egress for animals and insects.
I would like to say that I don't know that whether or not, I don't know that that's an important question, because I don't think we want to get into a position where we're making a per parcel judgment.
Correct.
I think it would be better if we just said all acres habitat is of value, and we made a rule that was consistent throughout the acres that everybody could build by.
Yeah, and that the outside perimeter of a building is considered their lot coverage lines.
So if there's a courtyard, I mean, does that give the building an exemption from lot setback requirements that are already in place?
No,
No.
it doesn't.
But the setbacks are 15 feet on the side, 20 in the rear, and 15 in front, I think.
Right. What
So, when you're talking about, that's really not very much land uncovered.
yeah,
Right, so, I mean, they could build that big a house without the courtyard, and we would have nothing to say about it.
No,
Am I
because
right?
there's FARs, too.
There's
Yeah.
what?
floor area ratios that must be
Yeah.
met.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's lot coverage, and then the floor area ratio can't exceed 5,500 square feet without a variance. And most of the acres properties are, I believe, larger lots, 25,000 square foot lots for the most part, something like that. But if you look at the lot size of acres lots compared to the lot size of regular lots, that's one of the reasons they're designated as acres lots, so they can't be smaller unless you get it, so that they can't be overbuilt unless you get a density transfer.
So basically, you're saying you don't want to see houses built in the shape of a square or a U,
Well, donut.
because then you would have a courtyard in the center versus like a U would then be open.
Yes,
So are you saying L's are okay and
L's
U's
are okay and
squares are not?
squares are not.
Okay, so essentially just squares.
I wonder
Because I
if
think
U's
if it's-
have value, too. I mean, that's kind of a borderline case. I think we might need to roll over.
On a U-shape situation, there's still ingress and egress.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, and the likelihood of it being later covered or contained is less, and the balcony rules still apply. But when it's completely enclosed on all four sides, there is very little opportunity for insect fly-through. There's certainly no opportunity for any animal pathways or anything like that. And it's different. It's just different.
Yeah.
And it's definable, and you don't have to go back and later police whether or not they covered it, which wouldn't necessarily be visible, but with a U-shaped property, it would be visible, and therefore it would have to contribute to the FAR.
We'd be talking about some pretty massive homes too.
Yes, some pretty massive homes.
Because the lot coverage is what, 60%?
Well, here it says the maximum coverage by all structures on any lot shall be 25%.
Right, and so if you are not including
Okay,
the
Right.
interior courtyard in that,
right.
it could actually
Have a much bigger, okay,
much bigger.
got it.
Yes. And
But you wouldn't include that as part of the floor area ratio, because there's no floor.
That's kind of the issue.
you mean if it was an interior courtyard?
Right.
Well, no, right now it doesn't, it's not included, and it should be.
Okay, so that's two changes you're asking for.
What's the other one?
Mm.
What do you mean, Stuart?
Well, because when you think about a floor area ratio, you're thinking about the size under roof. So you can say that you're not going to cover more than 25% of the building, or percent of the
Lot.
of the lot. So let's say you have a 10,000 square foot lot. So you're going to cover no more than 2,500 square feet of the lot.
None of the acres lots are that small, Stuart.
Okay, so let's say it's 40,000 square feet. So
Okay.
you're going to cover. So you're allowed to cover right now 10,000 square feet with a building.
You wouldn't be allowed to because the largest acres house that you can build is 5,500 square feet.
So then, not including. So then, how are you going to limit? So what's, I guess, if so, you're saying that. I'm just trying to understand how this is going to work.
Okay.
So if we have an acre lot, which is 40,000 square feet, you're allowed to cover 10,000 under that 25% coverage.
Yes, but there are two restrictions in here. You're allowed to cover up to 25%, but you're also not allowed to have a house that's larger than, it says right here,
It says the floor area ratio can't be more than 5,500 square feet.
right,
But the floor area ratio, I think, would be defined by the flooring of the house.
yes,
So, an open patio, an open space is not. You're going to include open space that's enclosed by four walls that doesn't have. That is not a floor. You want that to be defined as a floor.
no. Well, I don't know. I mean,
Well, I'm just trying to
There's a number
understand
of
because,
ways
like,
to
right
go
now,
around
what you're
it.
saying is that for a 40,000 square foot lot, it would be difficult to, if you're saying that you're not going to cover more than 25% of the lot
Mm-hmm.
with a house. So you're talking about a 10,000 square foot coverage. You're already down to 5,000 square feet, so that's 12%.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're saying, what I'm hearing, is you don't want to take that 5,500 square feet of a house and cover 10,000 square feet of the lot.
Correct.
You would only want it to be able to cover less than that,
Yes.
10,000 square feet.
Yes. Well, the house, what I'm saying is that if you have an interior courtyard,
That would be considered part of lot coverage.
yes,
So that whole, so on a 40,000 square foot, 1 acre parcel, that they can't enclose more than 10,000 square feet.
mm-hmm.
And of that 10,000 square feet, it's already limited to 5,500 square feet for that house.
Yes,
Okay.
It'd be pretty tiny.
What?
That'd be pretty small. I mean, you'd be looking at basically nothing more than a hallway connecting 4 rooms if you're going to make a square out of 5,000 square feet. I mean, it's almost next to impossible to do anyway.
Well, that's what I'm, I mean, that's kind of like my thought process is how, in practical terms,
How is it that you're going to be able to build a house that way?
right?
At 10,000, you could do it because that'd be like 4 normal-sized houses.
Right. And that's what I'm wondering is if all the parcels that we're talking about are an acre.
I don't
So,
think they are all. an
Okay,
acre.
that's what I was thinking. If it was 10,000 square feet,
They're
you'd have
not all.
20
They're not all an acre.
Okay.
The parcel. I think most of them are supposed to be around
25,000?
20,000 square feet.
Okay, so if it's 20,000 square feet, so you're talking at 25%, it would be a 5,000. They could cover up to 5,000. Trying to think if I'm doing that right. 5,000 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
So if they were to build a 2-story house, that would give them up to 10,000 square feet of 10,000 square feet of space if they were able to build it all. They're only allowed to build 5,500, so you would be having 2,200 on the bottom floor, 2,200 on the top floor, so that way you'd have 2,200 out of the 5,000, so you could still have a 3,000 square foot interior space, and that would still be allowed under this.
Wouldn't it be easier just to
I'm just wondering if that's what we're trying to get to.
shape ordinance into the same rules? I mean, you already have the 25%, you already have the 5,000 square feet, but you can't just, there's no
Well, we
Make a
wouldn't,
square with an interior coverage.
we wouldn't want to limit what configurations.
Right, I mean, houses
would
could be
want.
square normally.
That's what we're doing though.
No, we're just saying that if you have an interior courtyard that's surrounded by four walls, it's counted as lot coverage.
Because it's definitely not open space.
It's definitely not
Open
open
space.
space.
Can't
And
live there either.
yes, you could,
Well,
in
you
theory.
could live outside, yeah.
Yeah, I
Put
mean,
up
a
a
lot
tent.
of, a lot of people do, and then later on they cover it over and that type of thing.
Yeah.
But the fact is that it doesn't get to circulate in the environment. And the whole idea of the acres lot coverage rules is that you can't have wall-to-wall houses up there. You want lots of space in between so that habitat has the opportunity to exist. That animals have the opportunity to move through, that butterflies and bees and flies and ugly animals too have the opportunity to move through. That's the whole purpose of why the ordinance even exists, distinguishing the Brisbane acres
No, I get it.
from other lots. So,
Now, what's the FAR? Is that the 25% lot coverage?
Now, the FAR is it's under, on page 2, it's item F, floor area ratio.
Mm-hmm.
The maximum floor area ratio of all buildings on a lot shall be 0.72. However, that in no event shall the floor area of all buildings on a lot exceed 5,500 square feet. And they can be up to 3,500, 35 feet high. So basically a 3-story building.
yeah.
So, I need to put this in concrete terms just to understand it. So I'm going to drag the poor house on Thomas back into this just for the conversation, understanding that, it was already decided on. Now, that house was 5,500 square feet. Was it not just under?
It's actually, I believe, over by,
I don't know.
but just so that you understand that situation,
Mm-hmm.
that was a non-conforming acres lot. It was already substandard in size,
Yeah.
being at somewhere around 14,400 square feet. So they had already been granted a variance, historically deeded to the property, to allow them to build a normal acres size house on the property.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
With the addition of the interior courtyard, of course, it takes up all available space on the
Yeah.
property up to the setbacks, I believe.
Uh-huh.
So that one is, it already had an exemption
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and so as an example, it's not necessarily the best example.
Yeah, you're right.
And so that will definitely be a massive
There,
house.
the
on
the exterior perimeter of that building takes up more than 25% of the lot.
Definitely.
Yeah. And that was due to the exemption that you were talking about.
Yes, but even then some, it would,
Yeah.
it would take up.
So what I understand, Michelle, is you're basically asking that item E would say, not that maximum coverage by all structures on any lot shall be 25%, but the maximum coverage of all enclosed space on any lot shall be
No, no,
25%.
no.
No.
No?
Mm-mm.
Because
I
if you
thought-
don't put a roof over that interior courtyard, it's not an
Right,
enclosed
yeah, well, it
space.
is. It's enclosed by the four walls. I mean, that's what you're looking for, is that which is enclosed by 4 walls can be no more than 25% of the lot. So
Yeah.
that any enclosed space.
Yes.
To me, I think maybe there's a legal definition that I'm not aware of, but that sounds ambiguous.
It is
that-
ambiguous. And
that
it
somebody's
needs to
Well,
gonna
we can ask,
argue
I mean, we
later
could talk to
down
the
the road.
attorney about how to word it, but I mean, that's what
Yeah.
you're looking for.
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, I think what we're looking for is outer perimeters of all
Yeah.
structures. So, shall not
Yes.
exceed 25.
well, I understand, it's not quite the outer perimeter, it's the enclosed perimeter,
Yes.
Okay, enclosed
Okay.
perimeter is better.
right? I mean, outer perimeter, you think just the size of the wall,
I
Yeah.
like how you
that's,
said it.
hmm?
I like how you said it.
The enclosed perimeter,
Creating
of-
four walls, you're creating an enclosed space not defined by floor coverage or roof coverage.
right,
The 4 walls in
but,
itself.
but that wouldn't go against the FAR.
Well, that's what I think
No.
you're saying we should add to it, though.
No. I think it will be self-evident that it wouldn't count. I mean, at if they decide to do an interior courtyard.
That doesn't count against the FAR. They can still have 5,500 square foot of living space inside a house.
Yes.
But the 3,000 square foot that might be their interior courtyard would count against lot coverage, but not against the FAR.
Correct.
Yeah, that's
Because it would be,
Not one but the other.
yeah, it would,
So we just need to make it both.
it'd be kind of self-limiting at that point.
Change the word to and.
Well, I'd have to do the math. I'm not an architect or an engineer. But I think that if we eliminated the interior courtyards as being able to account, that they would now count towards lot coverage, and if you only are allowed 25% of the lot covered, that you would not be able to, I mean, you could still, I think you could still get to the FAR.
Right.
Yeah,
Because you're allowed to build 3 stories up.
yeah,
So, I mean, so let's say you create a 20 by 20, 20 by 20 or 50 by 50 interior coverage. So that would be 2,500 square feet. And then you would still have on a 20 square foot 8 part, you would still have another 2,500 square foot to build on. You build 2 stories you could build that, up to 2 or 3 stories.
mm-hmm.
So you could still build a house.
Yeah.
And it would be, and when you think about what that size of a interior lot is, that's kind of a big interior parcel. I mean, I think, for those that are more normal sized acres, I think to some extent it might become irrelevant.
Oh, yes, that's what I'm saying.
But for those that are a substandard sized parcels, it might, I think that's where it really becomes evident.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of, and if that's what you're shooting for, we can talk to the attorney, see, how we could word that and bring that back at a future meeting. Because I don't think there's any, I don't think there's any houses that are being brought into, being asked at this point to be built.
Right.
So,
So
I
I'd
mean,
like-
this is something I think that the committee can take a little bit more time. With us knowing, I mean, I haven't heard anybody's coming in tomorrow to.
Yeah, but we only meet once a month and things will happen fast.
Yeah.
The storm door is open.
And we need to get ourselves settled before we can make a recommendation to council, and council needs time to act on it. So
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk to the
no
attorney and
snoozing.
Mm-hmm.
we'll talk to the attorney. I think I understand what you're trying to get to.
Yeah.
Where is that?
I mean, if someone wants to build their 5,500
you're
square foot
you're
home.
perfectly fine with that as long as it.
No, I'm
doesn't-
really not, but I'm
Well,
not going to stop them.
It's
I'm
allowed-
personally not fine with it, but legally, yeah, go for it.
It's allowed by our current rules. You're not asking for that You're not asking for that current rule to be changed,
Yeah,
just asking for it to be.
and you're just asking for any interior space enclosed within
4 walls.
4 walls be part of the lot coverage.
Yes.
So I think the other thing for the city, when you bring this to city council, that we might want to bring to them are the sizes of the parcels in the acres. Because I think they're going to want to go through the same kind of math that you're going through
Yeah.
tonight.
Do you
Yeah.
have
Thing.
that?
I can ask the planning department if they have that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think they're going to want to go through the same kind of math that we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
I mean, if they have it, it would be pretty easy to go through with a spreadsheet and see what the maximum, what that would do to each scenario.
Right.
Mhm.
And I think the more information like that you bring to them,
Yeah.
Okay. So are we all kind of on
Yes.
the same page on this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very much want to move forward
Yeah.
with it.
Because I just think that it's a perversion of the intent of the ordinance. The Brisbane Acres is a very special place. It's a privilege to own and live there. And, we need to make sure that it's consistent and we don't have the same kind of just horrible conflicts that we had over the last situation. Well,
and then after council, we'll probably need to go to the planning commission.
okay.
I mean, it's my guess. Because this is within their purview.
Okay. Thank you. Natalie, thank you for digging this up. Sure. Okay, next thing on the agenda. Update on the CAG has been struck from the agenda because you're your chairperson who attended the CAG meeting is lame at bringing her notes in.
Mm.
Ordinance covering PV and parking structures. Who is it that brought that?
This was me.
So, you're on.
Okay, so this is something I would like to present to the committee. And it's been on my mind probably at least 2 years. And it will become, I don't think we should have an ordinance that just covers the Baylands, but I think it will primarily become important in the Baylands. But I think most of us here are familiar with parking lots and the heat island effect and what an eyesore they can be. And I had thought there was some ordinance covering the design of parking lots, but Natalie and I couldn't really find anything. What I did go back was I looked at the design guidelines from Sierra Point, and they do have some guidelines in there about, you know, planting medians and spacing trees. But I would really like to see this incorporated into a more powerful ordinance for the city. So that when the parking areas of the Baylands do get developed, they can be covered. And my personal feeling is that it doesn't matter whether it's trees or PV. I sent
By
you guys
PV, you mean photovoltaic.
photovoltaics, yeah. It serves a number of purposes. It cuts down on the heat island effect, you know, and of course it generates energy, or plants, you know, do the whole carbon oxygen exchange. Trees lower the surrounding environment by 10 degrees. And I think that this is a really good time, if the committee's interested and thinks I'm going the right direction. This is a really good time to think about this because of the Baylands. And also, I want to specifically, if we decide to pursue this, write it in such a way that it would also cover the rail yard, if that goes in as a, maybe we don't want to say parking, we maybe want to say vehicle storage areas.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know if actually we would have authority
No, we
over the
wouldn't.
rail yard.
However, I do personally feel that having a ordinance on the books might at least give us a point to push from.
Okay. I'm just, you know, I don't want to create an expectation that.
No,
because
no.
The state has,
I understand the
Okay.
state would supersede
Okay.
us, but I at least hope they're not a bunch of awful bullies. And that if we have specific ordinances and guidelines in Brisbane, they'd at least consider adhering to them and covering up that trail yard. And
Talk to
I don't think
Berkeley.
they'll do trees in a trail yard, but we could get the rail yard covered with PV, and it could be a energy positive instead of pollution negative space.
Right. What did you mean about talk to Berkeley?
talk to Berkeley about how well the University of Berkeley, you know, UC Berkeley deals with planning issues in Berkeley.
Yeah, well,
I mean, the
This is
state does what
Brisbane.
the state does.
we can do it better than Berkeley.
Well, the state does what the state does. I understand what you're saying, and
Yeah.
it's fine, but I'm just don't want to create an expectation that the state wants to do something.
Mm-hmm.
They supersede,
Yeah.
our, you know, local ordinance,
Yeah.
local planning issues.
One of the is my mic? Yeah. One of the concerns that I have, I'd like the ordinance to extend to Croc Industrial Park and Brisbane Industrial Park, etc. But one of my, I just bring this up. One of my concerns about building photovoltaic structures in Crocker Park is, again, the flyover of the butterflies that are supposed to be able to fly over Crocker Park, which I'm not sure they can anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to kind of be sensitive to height issues
Yes.
and heat issues.
We would definitely have to look at that, but most PV panels are very anti-glare because they don't want to reflect the sun, they want to
Right.
capture it.
I was actually up at the Mission Blue yesterday, waiting for my class, and I was out on the lawn and I was overlooking Crocker Industrial Park, and all I saw from where I was standing was massive amounts of white roofs, just massive, like blocks and blocks of them. And I thought to myself, we should have photovoltaics on those roofs. It was just an amazing just expanse, and it would actually cut down on the glare for the people that live there, especially since the panels would be facing away from the Northeast Ridge.
The Energy Strategy Committee also thought so, but the problem has to do with absentee landlords owning those buildings. And it's kind of a common problem when you have buildings that are rented, that the obligation to install the things is on the property owner. The tenant, however, is who derives the benefit usually, and so these are we looked into this quite a bit, because the notion of all that real estate without solar panels on it was offensive to many of us, and still is. But that was the problem that we ran into.
So maybe we can approach it from a different perspective and form an energy company that rents the space on the top of the buildings.
You still have to get in touch with the landlords. A lot of those buildings are owned by real estate trusts in Hong Kong, right? It's quite impenetrable.
I mean, what we could do is research what other, if there's other cities that have this kind of an ordinance, and then see, maybe, we can, bring back a series of them, have the committee look at, a series of them, see what you like, what you don't like, and, start working on drafting one.
We should certainly attach it to, as a rider to any property improvements that are made. If they, just like right now, if you want to, remodel your home, you have to bring it up to code. Well, if you want to remodel your building, you have to bring it up to code, and code now includes photovoltaic roofs.
Yep, I understand. I just think we should see what, let's not reinvent. Let's see if there's other cities out there that have done stuff like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
where do we go from here on this?
Well, my first intention is to find out whether or not the committee supports this idea. And I'd like everybody to speak their mind. Because I think if we go after this, it's going to be work, and we should have be, interested.
Emma?
I definitely support the idea of more solar. I'm just a little weary. I mean, Glenn, you remember the fun that we had in the green building ordinance, where we proposed some basic changes which were quickly eclipsed by the state of California imposing even stricter standards than what we were considering for lowly Brisbane. And that brought out the Chamber of Commerce and letters and well-meaning, well-intentioned individuals who, argued that the effort was misguided. And so even with those minor changes, the amount of resistance, telling people that they have to invest thousands of dollars on a solar system for their unit, which is just giving them some marginal income in their real estate trust. I don't know whether that might just be a little bit of a stretch too far to. I'd love to see every roof covered with solar.
Well, my idea, I'm actually talking about parking lots.
Right.
But
Right. No, but I mean,
difference,
people could do roofs if they want to.
right. Well, the roofs of the buildings are just as large as parking lots. The roofs in Crocker Industrial Park. So,
The council wants us to revive the Energy Strategy Committee, and after the last go-round, I'm kind of with Kima. I'm not sure. I kind of think that cities have picked a lot of the lower-hanging fruit that they can pick in terms of policy. We found roadblocks to green building ordinance. We found a lot of roadblocks because I was on the Energy Strategy Committee before. And, we ran into these real estate trusts and all that kind of stuff. The council does want us to revive the committee, so I think, I guess we should do that, although I hope it's later this summer, because I can't do anything else right now. But I think we should consider this as part of an energy strategy. That would be the PV part. I think you're really talking about two different things here, either PV or trees. They're really different.
Yeah.
They're going to have different consequences. So the PV part of it, I think could be considered as part of an energy strategy, and we'll try to come up with some way to foster renewable generation in Brisbane, which could include parking lots.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how you'd write an ordinance saying either trees or PV. I see what you mean, but I don't see how you'd write an ordinance like that.
Michael?
Talking to the wrong guy. I don't know enough information about this subject, obviously, from what you've said, but I'm a firm believer that when when all the coal and all the oil is gone, there's not going to be too many other choices, and the sooner you move on it, the longer that will last. So I would say move on it, but then I don't know enough about it to have an educated opinion.
Okay, we will.
Oh, yeah.
The thing is, the state is also moving on it, and the state is much bigger and badder than the city of Brisbane. So, maybe the state has a way to figure out how to make these real estate investment trusts or whatever they are, install solar panels on their roofs and or parking lots. We just couldn't figure out a way that we could do it.
But when they have to build a new roof and they have to replace the roof, don't they need a permit?
They do.
The permit now includes that they update or upgrade to the current standard. They would have to, by the ordinance, build photovoltaic cells or solar panels onto the roofs and or parking structures or wherever, however it's worded.
We
I
got
could see them fighting it.
we got pretty firmly told on a green because I'm also Kima's too on the Green Building Ordinance Subcommittee, that Brisbane would not be allowed to have a more ambitious green building ordinance than any other city neighboring us on the peninsula.
Who told you that?
Who did tell us that?
Oh, what was his name?
It's just, it was made clear to us, put it that way.
I'd like to know by who, if we can
Yeah.
dig that up.
I don't remember his name. I'd have to look in the notes.
Do you remember his position?
Was it? It was one of the contractor people that came in, or
No, it
there was
wasn't
the letter
him.
from
It was the consultant for one, and because remember we wanted to make the green building ordinance much more ambitious, and we were talked into making it apply to larger, building size
Yes.
units and not
Well,
requiring
well,
this, not requiring that.
the consultant was bringing up points of like here's all the other jurisdictions in the area that have similar ordinances and what their levels are, and our mine and Glenn's first impulse was just to ratchet it all up until it squeaks, but yeah, it just wasn't it wasn't really considered as a realistic alternative, and that we should have a more incremental, and even that incremental compromise was then seen as a horrible consideration by the contractor community.
Well, by the planning commission, I might add, at least the representative of the planning commission that came to those meetings.
Oh dear.
Ken?
I mean, what it sounds like, though, is if you bring it back through as Glenn said, through the energy plan,
Energy strategy committee.
committee, with a series of other solutions for reducing greenhouse gases, that might be that might be a very logical place where then council sees it as part of an overall strategy, as opposed to having to deal with it as a one-off.
Okay.
I mean, because it sounds like there's support there,
Mhm.
and it's just a matter of when we have the ability, after school year's out, to get back to that one.
The other thing too, I think that while you may have felt like you wasted your time, or
Goes away.
okay, and that the state adopted green building ordinances that were stronger than ours, but the fact that we were already working on one, I think, led support and credence to what the state was doing. And also, I'm not intimidated by the fact that other cities aren't doing what we're doing. We're special. We know we're special. Let's be special. That's Brisbane. Okay, we
Well,
should be a leader.
Other
in this
cities are
area.
actually ahead of us.
Yeah, they are now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
'Cause we
is
lagged behind.
we were proposing getting ahead of the pack, and that wasn't really, yeah.
That
So-
didn't happen.
So how did we go from an intention to be at the top, front of the pack, to being behind?
Probably
we were
our
simply,
economic development committee.
we were simply advised that a green building ordinance for Brisbane should not be radically different from other communities in this area.
Okay.
And I,
And we were also advised, and I don't even know what's going on with the green building ordinance now. We were also advised that the state was going to issue revised state energy standards for buildings in
Yeah.
January.
It did.
And that, allegedly we were going to be reconvened at some point after January to see what this meant for us and for the green building ordinance, and that has not happened.
I think that was supposed to happen 6 months after, so my expectation was sometime after June, we're gonna get all
Okay,
that.
so
hasn't
maybe,
happened.
maybe we will have, I assume we'll have some sort of meeting to bring us up to speed. But there was pushback in Brisbane from the member of the planning commission who sat on the green building ordinance,
is that,
Karen. And, I think there's something to that. If somebody is going to build a building, their tendency is going to be to look for, a lower standard.
Yeah,
Right.
I know,
I
that's
mean,
why
will
we
they
have.
will they locate here if we have a much higher standard than anybody else? And I think that's where some of the opponents are coming from.
It's also, as much as we on this committee represent the, interests of ecology and all of that, we also have to consider that ecology, the principle of ecology is the interaction of all the different systems. And at the end of the day, there is economic and social systems as well as ecological systems. And so ratcheting things up all the way, while it might be a good impulse, we still have to get along with our neighbors and live in a community with them. And some of them are contractors, and some of them make a living doing stuff for our property owners. So it's not really our place to just, come in and dictate some sort of terms that aren't acceptable. The whole point of the exercise is to find something that's acceptable to the whole community without leaving our values behind.
I agree that with that part. One of the things though that concerns me, two things. One is that we shouldn't be radically different than other areas, but we are different than other areas, and we do have different situation here, which we brought up several times in other venues, like for instance how sound gets amplified in Brisbane. We have the mountain. That's something that's very different than other areas. So radically, what's radically? Our laws should reflect our situation here while also accommodating the greater good for, across the landscape. But the other thing that I just really want us to not forget, because we're not going to be able to forget it, it's going to be in our face really soon, is that we are in a very changing world. And Glenn, you're usually the one who's standing up there, preaching on this soapbox, but we need to be ready to take action because the planet is not going to wait for us to dither about some of this stuff. And that's one of the reasons we need to be ahead of the curve, because we're already behind the 8 ball, and
Yeah.
so the other thing too is that the state ordinance, okay, if the state decides to get their ass in gear and do something, but then we still have to put our particular, shall I say, frosting on it, because we have concerns about, okay, you don't just go out and build a bunch of photovoltaics everywhere, 50 feet high. We have certain other considerations so that it really does interweave with everything that we're doing.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think we have to be miles ahead of what the state's doing. I don't think we
No.
have to be radically different than anybody else, but
But we need to
I
have our own-
personally feel like Brisbane, could be half a step ahead of everybody else.
and
So-
configure it to our own personal, needs as a city
Yeah.
and topography.
so we tried hard. We
Yeah.
pushed. We
Yes.
pushed for the the green building ordinance requirements to apply to buildings with lower square footage. Yes, this is my soapbox. I've, spent many hours in class today talking about exactly this. But I want to say too that this transition to a lower carbon world, a more sustainable world, there are different levels on which different things happen. And I think, in some ways, one of my frustrations in being on this committee and working on these issues in the city of Brisbane is that a lot of these things need to happen on a higher level, right? There are things that cities can't do, especially a city like Brisbane. And this is kind of one of them, that there's going to be, it's a point of pride to members of this committee to have Brisbane be greener than everybody else, but that's not how everybody else in Brisbane feels about it. And that was made very clear to us. And so, you can push, but on the other hand, at some point, you're perhaps just antagonizing people with very little anticipation of result.
And very little difference in what we're disagreeing about. I mean,
Yeah.
it boiled down to, do you force people, like the minimum square footage size was one of the things that we wanted to have, the minimum square foot be 2,000 feet as opposed to 10,000 feet. And it's like, how many businesses even have 2,000 foot? Yeah, I mean, it got to the point where we were really talking about one or two potential properties, or it was even lower than 2,000 feet. So we're talking if you had a drive up, had a drive up Java stand, that kind of square footage, and that they were going to have to be LEED certified, and I mean, it's ridiculous. Well, and you're talking about how many businesses in Brisbane actually have square footage of that size. So, yeah, the battle was fought, but we couldn't,
Okay, so
carry the day.
what do we want to do with this issue? I mean, I'm in support of us, moving forward on it, but I don't want to bleed over it the way that you guys have bled over that.
I think that the Energy Strategy Subcommittee, when it's reconstituted, should take the idea of PV coverage for parking lots and, an ordinance under consideration, along with whatever else we can come up with. I mean, it's been a while since the Energy Strategy Subcommittee met.
Yeah.
Most of the members are gone. I'm the only member left.
I said I was going to do that one.
But I don't think you were on the committee yet when we had most of the Energy Strategy Subcommittee meetings.
No.
So I think we need to get updated on what's going on at the state level.
Yeah. Natalie, can you, for next meeting, just give us an update on where the state is with their process?
That's a huge job. I think we need to narrow it down a little bit.
Okay.
AB 32 is the state's climate law. It's a huge law. It's multidimensional. Okay. So I think part of this work Natalie's already done, and that was checking into Energy Upgrade California, because that turned into a kind of centerpiece of the energy strategy before. We were trying to get people in Brisbane basically to take advantage of the rebates that were offered through Energy Upgrade. We need to find the notes. I think you were at those meetings, Stuart, when Mitch Bull came and we talked about the buildings in the industrial park and how to try to untangle that. So are there notes, or is there a record of that someplace, do you think? So maybe we could have those, and maybe we could meet with Mitch again when we reconstitute the committee and just kind of sort ourselves out and figure out what to do.
And what I'm hearing is that you'd like to wait till after the school year is over.
I sure would. I would like to wait till later in the summer, actually. It's the first time I'm going to have any time.
Okay, is that like August?
July, August, yeah.
Okay.
But you might want to agendize it. All right. Next item is Earth Day at Castañas Canyon and Owl Canyon Quarry Road, Owl Canyon Cleanup. We have the in your packets you have the beautiful flyer, which you should pass out to all your friends and email to everybody so that we have a really good turnout. And that is on Saturday, April 26th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We meet at Humboldt Road and Placer Way. if the public is listening, please come and join us. It's always really a lot of fun. Wear long pants and long sleeves. We'll be removing non-invasive, non-native plants from Costañas Canyon. Comes with a free lunch and a free T-shirt.
What's the date again?
The 26th.
April 26th, Saturday, April 26th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Put it in my calendar.
Natalie, did you want to say anything else about that?
So an update from Russ is that he was able to get Ecology to donate $400 for the T-shirts.
Oh, okay.
And then the other, so this page is the print that would go on them, and he said they will be discolored burgundy and white. And Peter emailed
Pardon, they'll be white?
it'll be basically like this, burgundy on white.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so Peter said, as far as the plan goes, remove ivy from the upper third of the canyon and then have people go back what they did previously to take the things that are sprouting.
Uh-huh.
And Ken will supply tools and try to get volunteers to come. And as far as people emailing me, I only had 3 people so far.
So this next week, and the next 2 weeks, this is like 2 weeks from this Saturday. Let's just do a real big push media blitz. Can we get it on the board, and on the community page, and push. We should have a good turnout. And then I think this looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
I do too.
Yeah.
Are the T-shirts already decided on and ordered?
Yes, they have been ordered.
Okay. Because I was going to make my standard pitch for grayish rather than white.
Hides the dirt better.
Hmm?
Hides the dirt better.
It
Doesn't
hides the
use
dirt
dioxin
better.
either.
And also, if it's grayish, then the cotton's unbleached, and we all know bleach and dioxin is a big evil monster. So white T-shirts are kind of a no-no in my book. So maybe for next time, we can remember that. I know I've put this out there before. Can we go for grayish?
Yeah, I mentioned
Natural.
we mentioned it in our subcommittee meeting.
Yeah.
But, okay. So then Quarry Road,
Uh,
Owl Canyon.
First, I wanted to ask, is there any plan to distribute these flyers and post them?
I know Caroline put it on her website, and then I was planning to post some around town.
Fabulous. That's
I-
great.
I-
Library and,
Yeah, and I need to see what Russ was planning, because I think he said he was going to make posters or something, but
okay,
on the board.
okay.
So, Owl.
Oh, Owl Canyon. Okay, so Owl Canyon the mouth of Owl Canyon is pretty trashy. That's where the kids have set up an informal skateboard park. So I went out there a few weeks ago, and actually a couple of kids were there, and I ended up having quite a long talk with them. And the place was trashed. I mean, it was
It's trashed.
pretty bad. And it was kind of interesting. They had no idea why it was an ecological preserve, or why it was a special place or anything like that. They were just totally clueless. And I said, "Did you guys know there were endangered species up here?" No, I had no idea. They were actually pretty nice kids. But long story short, neither of them was from Brisbane. This is a fairly famous spot from, the word has gotten out. And I said, well, you're really not supposed to be here, but people would be less offended if the place weren't trashed. So I heard promises up and down that they would do something. So I went back out there yesterday, and actually I think they did do some trash removal. But there are now a couple of big things out there. There's a mattress out there. There's a big, there's a big chunk of, I don't know, it looks like paneling from a house. There is lots of broken glass. And one of the reasons I'm bringing it up here is that, when we recruit people to go clean up out there, we need to be careful because there's a lot of broken glass. So got to be really sure that nobody's working out there without wearing gloves, because the glass does need to be picked up, and there's lots of it. I brought a few more small pieces of trash out with me yesterday, and as I said, I think the kids did do some cleanup. Some of the bottles, some of the cans were gone, but there's still plenty left. But it's kind of nasty trash, so you need to be cautious. And I talked to these kids. I said, well, you know, you guys should be carrying your trash out of here. And we talked about the possibility of getting some trash cans there. And they were really sure that that would help. So have we made any progress on that?
So Joe let me know, I think a day or two ago, that we can get one trash can out there. And so I said, let me see where we should put it. So do we want to put it right next to the ad hoc skate park? Is that where we want it to be?
I think so.
I think so. That's where the problem is.
Maybe just inside of it.
Well, it needs to kind of be, it's hard because it needs to be kind of on the road where they can come and pick it up.
Yeah.
Because there's, the two
Yeah.
ditches and you have
Yeah.
to kind of,
That's why I meant just city side of it on the road.
yeah.
So that if people are leaving, they're leaving with trash and it's in the natural direction to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really sad because it's really bad.
Did you see it?
I haven't
too?
seen it lately. I saw it a couple, like from up above, like, what, a month ago.
Okay.
I didn't
yeah.
go down there.
It's pretty
What
bad.
about putting a little sign up that says, pack your trash?
We've
the
talked
site will
about
be shut down.
we've talked about signage. I wonder if we can actually threaten them because it's not supposed to be a skateboard place in the first place. It's really a drainage culvert, and they've just adapted it.
There isn't a drainage culvert in the state of California that hasn't been adapted.
Well, if we can't get it under control, then I would recommend we jackhammer it out and replace the smooth concrete with, cobbled drainage. I mean, if you can't control the nuisance, then you need to remove it.
Mm-hmm.
And but
But then again, we're also taking away another one thing that the kids in Brisbane who don't really have a whole lot to do.
except that it's mostly not Brisbane kids
And
there.
we do have
No,
a lot of
Mich-
Brisbane kids.
Is there?
A lot of
There.
Brisbane kids.
Yeah, the two kids that were there the day I was there were not from Brisbane, but
I've skated it myself.
Have you? Okay.
yeah, it clearly really meant a lot to them. And I told them, I said, people are getting really angry, and if this place doesn't get cleaned up, if it keeps being left in this condition, people will find a way to get rid of it. So I personally would kind of like to give them a chance
I would
Yeah,
too.
me
I
too.
absolutely would.
and put the trash cans out there. And I really want to try to talk them out of painting the thing because, I don't like the idea of paint
Because
being
they leave
used.
the cans and
Well, and partly it's, paint rubs off and gets flaked off and it ends up in the water. And unfortunately, I didn't bring a pen, I didn't bring a piece of paper. The kid didn't have anything either. So, but apparently the word about this place is getting around on social media. So I think, it might help if those of us on Open Space Committee went out there more often and tried to talk with people and maybe found out a way to, worked with them to try to get the word out that we really will destroy the place if they don't clean up their act. And here's a trash can.
Mm-hmm.
Use it. I'd rather try that.
Yeah, me too.
I really would.
I would too. I mean, it should be able to coexist.
Mhm.
I don't understand this need to trash everything and, graffiti everything and just, make your mark on everything that way. It just kind of makes me grossed out.
I don't know this for sure, but I suspect that it's a multi-purpose site. So probably in the daytime, kids are skateboarding. At night, I imagine they're drinking.
Oh, I've seen them drinking in the daytime too.
But that's probably when a lot of the trash piles up.
I don't know.
There's probably different groups of kids.
Yeah. Well, it's used obviously by a lot of people.
They're not just kids either.
Yeah, and they're not just
Yeah.
kids. But, when you talk about the amount of glass there, now it's starting to become a dangerous situation.
Well, somebody's actually taken a sledgehammer to part of the culvert, and they've made these kind of broken out parts of the concrete, which I think are dangerous for the skateboarders, if they don't see them. So it could be that somebody's upset about it and is trying to take things into their own hands. I don't know what's going on. I couldn't do it.
10 bags of concrete that have been poured into the culvert
Yeah.
to make part of that skate park too.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how many parking stops have been relocated to that area for additional skating.
Oh, to give the shape to the.
Yeah. So they've been modifying and changing the shape of the culvert itself for decades.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is letters to council, the fossil fuel divestment and the polystyrene ban. So the first one is the recommendation of the Open Space and Ecology Committee recommends that do I need to read this whole thing for us? Have we all kind of looked at it? Because
I can't remember how to turn down this fan. I don't know how you guys are freezing.
Yeah, it is cold in here.
It is cold.
Oh, polar bears, so.
So, Glenn, did you read? Were you
Yes,
able to? Okay.
I've read it
And you
many
are?
times.
3,
Okay.
4, 5 times.
Okay, so because it's asking for my signature as the chair for the Open Space and Ecology Committee, I should have Glenn's subcommittee sign it, but,
In some ways it might, maybe that is the more appropriate.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think just blank, it's good, the whole committee, because the whole committee is behind it and supporting it. So, are we all, if everyone has looked at it, are we ready to vote to approve it and send it to council?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, all those in favor?
I.
We're
Okay,
going to try and get it on the 21st agenda sometime after 9:45.
okay. And then
And
this,
at the rate we're going, I hear there's no problem with that.
Okay.
I'm planning to be there to speak up for it,
good.
but I hope other people show up too.
And then the next one is the the polystyrene ban. And let's see. Dear business owners, in an effort to make Brisbane a greener city, a polystyrene ordinance is being considered. Polystyrene is also known as styrofoam, is often used for food storage containers in restaurants and coffee shops. There are health and environmental effects associated with the manufacturing and use of styrofoam. Similar to the plastic bag ordinance, banning styrofoam will help Brisbane reduce the amount of trash, litter, and ocean pollution that it contributes to the environment. Styrofoam's lifespan is estimated to be over 1 million years. All other wastes in landfill will decay before it. Due to its long lifespan, when styrofoam cups or plates are littered, it makes its way into the ocean, adding to the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch is made of litter that has collected in the ocean, assisted by ocean current, to become one large patch of garbage of 7 million square miles. Marine life often mistakes garbage for food, which is threatening to their health. These are reasons why this ordinance is an important step in becoming more environmentally friendly. We know the community shares this sentiment. There are many available options for food packaging. Brisbane would like to work with business owners to make this transition easy and successful. If your business has already chosen not to use styrofoam, we appreciate your initiative. We invite you to come to a meeting to discuss polystyrene ordinance on March 26th at 4 p.m. in the community meeting room. Well, obviously that part has to be changed.
Obviously, and no one showed up. We were quite disappointed. We were here. We were waiting.
Yeah, right. Please fill out the attached form and mail it back in the enclosed stamped envelope. Is there an attached form? Oh, questionnaire. Is your business in current compliance with the polystyrene ban? There is no polystyrene ban yet, though. Okay. All right.
Yeah, proposed polystyrene ban.
It isn't just styrofoam cups either, it's the plates and those.
Everything.
Yeah, everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tons.
Okay. So, Glenn.
I wanted to suggest a couple changes to the letter, and one of them would be to the very first sentence. I would like to add some language to the first sentence about are how our neighbors have already adopted polystyrene bans. So this would just bring Brisbane to where I don't know if the whole rest of San Mateo County has this, but
No, but we're gonna use the model ordinance that the San Mateo County is, yeah, so we can talk about that. That, San Mateo County, and maybe not in the first sentence, maybe the second one.
yeah, but somewhere
Right,
close to the
real close to the
beginning.
top, saying, San Mateo County has already adopted this ordinance, and here's other cities in the area that has as well.
Mhm.
Something like that, makes sense.
And then, so I think if that is said, then even the questionnaire becomes more clear. You could say, is your business in current compliance with yeah,
You remember, this is something that we're gonna be piggybacking on what the county has already done, so that way we don't have to go out and do our own EIR.
right.
Um,
So that's what we should
Right.
refer to,
That
though.
makes sense.
And then I wanted to suggest a grammar change. Just right about the middle of the paragraph. The line begins with styrofoam cups or plates are littered, they make.
their way.
It's ambiguous whether you're referring to styrofoam or plates and cups.
No, because styrofoam is used as an adjective to cups and plates.
Right. That's where the confusion comes in.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. I agree with you.
So I have a couple of changes
It's not
too.
arguing. No.
At the line that says, these are reasons why this ordinance is an important step in becoming more environmentally sustainable. I don't want friendly.
I don't want friendly either. I was thinking responsible,
Yeah,
Yeah,
but not friendly.
yeah.
responsible is good.
Responsible is better than sustainable. The other thing too is this first paragraph is way, way, way too long. And it should be broken up into, I think, three paragraphs. Midway through where it says styrofoam's lifespan, that could be a start of a new paragraph. And then maybe down here the last part, these are reasons why, that could be a new thought. And then just because this is just too big of a block for anybody to really want to read at one time. So,
The other thing, I'm just looking at it again for the fourth time, so I apologize to Natalie, is probably bringing the idea of the meeting up to the top.
yeah,
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 I think that's a
And
good
I
idea.
apologize
Great
for that,
idea.
Natalie. That's just looking at it again. And then the other one that I would suggest is, when you talk about the 7 million square miles, relate that to some size of a portion of the United States.
Texas.
Right.
Yeah.
So that way people get a sense that it's not just, 7 million square miles may be an ambiguous thing, but if you say it's the size of,
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're just as appealing.
You might mention something about the food chain. I don't know why. But when
I think
you
that's
talk-
where, I think she was trying, I think Natalie's trying to get to that with the idea of marine life often mistakes garbage for food.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
and
Well,
well,
yeah.
that's why that was what made me, which is threatening to our health
To their health, to their
their
our
health.
health,
and
to their and our health,
And even to ours.
and even to our health.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sentence needed a little more.
Okay, but to theirs and
Does the county's proposal, does it say anything about the harmful off-gassing when they take boiling hot foods, oils, and it melts the styrofoam into your food? I mean,
well, I mean, they did an EIR. I doubt that. I doubt it goes to that. It's probably the ordinance itself probably just creates the ban.
Mhm.
I mean, when they, possibly when we go to council, these might be reasons why you would be, as a committee, supportive of the ban.
okay.
So we'll rework that, try it again. When would you like to have a meeting?
Do we need to come to this meeting?
Hopefully, somebody.
Somebody, but not all of us.
As
I'm-
many of us as can
Yeah,
happily make it.
yeah. And if
Okay.
it's at 4:00 in the afternoon, I can probably make that on most days.
I
Okay,
can make that most days.
okay.
only Tuesdays and Thursdays for me.
Huh?
What?
Only on Tuesdays and Thursdays for me.
There.
So Tuesday or Thursday, sometime around 4.
I can do.
And, I mean, I think 4 is, now you get to the challenge of, we're trying to get to a lot of the restaurant kind of stuff. Do you think 4 o'clock is too close to dinner time? And I don't know.
I would just say that that's the meeting time.
Okay.
And if you cannot make that, let us know, and
Okay.
we'll try and schedule an appointment for you.
Okay. So do that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Next thing is litter education and littering is wrong campaign.
Glenn sent me some stuff, some of which I reviewed and some of which I did not get a chance to look at. I've decided that I officially hate April. It's
hate what?
evil.
April.
April.
Oh,
Between spring planting and taxes and spring thing for the school and my regular work deadlines
And don't forget the Habitat Restoration Day.
and Habitat Restoration Day, I've been going from like 6 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Should we
every
put
day.
this on next time's agenda then?
What I can say is I have thought about it, and I think the thing that would be most useful for me personally is if Glenn and I got together face to face outside of a meeting and,
Let us know when you want to do that
you know,
so we can post it.
yeah, just work things out
It's only
face to
2, do
face.
you have to post it?
If it's a subcommittee of the committee, you're supposed to.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Now,
Does that
unless you say
work
only
for
it's an
you?
ad hoc committee and it's going to go away quickly. Like you say that, within the next, this will last no more than 6 months. If you make it an ad hoc committee that goes away, then it doesn't need to be posted according to Brown Act. If it's a standing committee, it does.
Okay, at this
I-
point, it's an ad hoc committee.
Okay, then don't worry about it. Thanks.
okay.
Okay.
So you know where I live.
Yeah.
All right.
So just some, I mean, does that work for you, Glenn? I think, I feel like I would be more productive if we sat down face to face
Yeah.
and just bashed it out rather than trying to like go back and forth.
Okay, so the next thing is the stored liquid fuels data. Is that, yes, and that you gave us this nice type list, and
So I got in contact with San Mateo Public Health, and they sent me this information on discs,
Huh.
and that each address had, PDF after PDF of information, and so I tried to just take out what was relevant. So this is only from the first disc.
oh my,
So I have 2 more to go through.
Oh my gosh. And this is just Brisbane.
this is
Yes.
just Crocker Park, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's just Croc Park Industrial.
Wow. Who'd have thunk it?
Oh, okay, so.
There is a lot more than I thought.
Yeah,
Some are closed.
I mean, part of the challenge, of course, is if you have a business and you need emergency power backup, you need a generator. Generators need liquid fuel. So,
yeah,
so I mean, that's part of the challenge. Then probably for some of the businesses, they need some of the stuff is for what they actually do as part of their business.
Yeah.
And what action are we taking on this again?
we were recommending in the liquid storage fuels that Crocker Park not be allowed any more liquid storage fuel facilities of greater than 2,000 gallons, or I don't remember what it was.
Right. I mean, I think you were trying not to eliminate the idea of the generators and for
Right.
the people who need it as part of their everyday business, but you just don't want to have. My impression was you didn't want them to have another
Tank farm
tank farm in Crocker Industrial Park
or propane.
or propane tank, or like what you have down on Bayshore.
Right.
I mean, I think that's what you were looking for.
That's exactly what we were looking for.
Right.
Um,
So what do we do now?
yeah. What's our next action here, sir?
Tell us.
I think what it might be is if that's your direction, I can let you know when it's going to be on the agenda,
Okay.
and then somebody from the committee could represent to the committee at that meeting, and my guess is, I'm going to take a wild guess at this, more than one of you will be at that meeting anyway. But one of you can be maybe the new chair can be the designated spokesperson for the committee and saying, from
Yeah.
an environmental perspective, we as a Open Space Ecology Committee are concerned about this being in Crocker Industrial Park because it would, all that kind of good stuff. But that way, you'd have the committees saying, yes, we would like you to represent us. And then people, of course, could show up and represent themselves as individuals as well.
Yeah, and even
that
at
make
this,
sense?
and even at this level of fuels that are there, or liquid storage, the type of chemicals that are there, do pose a hazard to health. They should be inspected on a regular basis for safety because it is in the watershed.
Yeah, and I think that's why they'll have to do permits with the county. I think the
Right.
county is the one who does those kinds of inspections. But I mean, I think all those kinds of things is what, as an Open Space and Ecology Committee, you could say, and and I would also say, I would just stress that you're not looking to try and, you're not saying that we recognize that there's the need for some of this as part of their business. There's a need for the emergency fuel storage.
Yeah.
For blackouts. So that way you're not coming across as like, oh, we don't want any business in town.
Right, but we don't want them gassing up their trucks there,
Right,
anything like that.
right.
Okay, all right,
No gasoline stations in Crocker?
yeah, even,
Handful that are over 2,000.
yeah, on this list, it's not complete.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
so,
So I think if you just take a vote that,
Oh.
making Barbara your spokesperson, and
Sure.
she feels as if she knows what to say, that's
Just
good
be
enough.
sure to let me know when it gets agendized.
Yeah, and I'm
Everybody
Because
good
I
with
don't
that?
make every meeting.
yeah, it might either be April 7th or April 21st.
okay. Next is the San Bruno Mountain pamphlet, which you have this fabulous,
Wait, I thought it was tree, or is that the final item?
No, it's the
tree
pamphlet
removal's the next
The
one after
pamphlet
that.
came, in my packet, the pamphlet was first,
Okay,
before the list. So it might be the same
okay,
way in yours.
yeah, you're right.
Okay, so this is beautiful. Here is a rough draft of the invasive plant flyer for the OSEC. Please put it on the agenda for review as soon as they have time. Arthur Court Designs will do the layout and printing once information is complete. Glad to see Stuart is staying with the committee. See, you have a fan club, Stuart. I think all of us echo that sentiment greatly. And we hope they don't like you in Half Moon Bay and that they send you home. After you successfully rescued them from their dilemmas.
It's nice to know that I am left at home as well.
So we all have a copy of this now. I think that it's really coming right along. And does everybody want to take it, review it, bring it back to the next meeting and finalize it?
I kind of would, actually.
Yeah, because I think it's requires a little bit more study on everybody's part.
Yeah, how is this going to be folded?
I am not entirely sure.
'Cause I'm not, I mean, there's a lot, overall the layout's really good and the information looks good at first glance, but I'm trying to figure out how it goes into
It's supposed to be pocket size, right?
I think
Yeah.
I think she said pocket size, so I think probably lengthwise.
Yeah, at this point, you're more reviewing it for
content. Okay,
content.
all right.
Okay.
I won't worry about it then.
I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. And while we're at it, can I just jump? Can I jump skip in this for a second in the agenda? Because what you have here also, we've been talking about an invasive species ordinance. And so Natalie, we've been trying to work on a list of plants that we think should come under that ordinance for Brisbane, and Joe Cannon finally gave us a list of what he considers to be the top ones, and these are photographs of them. Yes.
Okay.
And so while you're reviewing the invasive plant brochure, I'd like you to also review the list of plants and that we would recommend to be on the invasive species ordinance. Now, not all of them would be completely banned because you can't, it's a challenge to ban some of these. But, for example, English ivy, which is a personal one of mine that I hate and is a true threat to the mountain, the ordinance part for that plant would be that you have to contain it on your own property. You can't let it run wild off your property. And since it does not seed sprout, I think that that's a reasonable thing to try to do.
Let me just ask, we were talking about a county ordinance for a while, but apparently that's not possible. I wasn't able to go to that meeting that we were told about. So are we back to talking about a Brisbane city ordinance then?
Yeah.
Right.
And the problem with having one of the problems that I could see with having a countywide ordinance is that something that that's a threat here, may not be a threat in Woodside, because the habitats are different.
Yeah, but it seems like most of them are, broom
Many of
is
them
all
are.
over the place, pampas grass is all over the place, ivy's all over the place.
Right.
I don't think, and the thing about a county ordinance is it would be a lot more effective because I'm assuming if there was a county ordinance, nurseries couldn't sell the stuff.
Yeah, but we have to make a start, because the county wasn't able to come to consensus, and I'm not even sure we'll be able to, but we should try.
Yeah, fine
I
with that.
emailed the agriculture commissioner this list because he asked for it before so he can give me information on what's being done so far. So maybe he'll send me that soon. So at least we know what's out there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so when you're looking at this, look at this, and can we, Madam Next Chair, can we agendize this for next meeting?
I'd love to.
Thank you.
So
Okay.
just let me be clear, so Joe thinks that these are the big problems?
This is his list of problems, yes.
Just curious about some of those.
You can lobby him if you want to change it.
Yeah, and what in particular?
Well, like licorice plant, I've never seen it around here. Has anybody else seen it around here?
No, but he must have a reason for having it on the list.
At some point, it might be nice to see if he would be willing to come and talk to us.
I will invite him.
Okay.
Maybe if we agendize this for the next meeting, we can have him come and invite him to come.
Maybe do it early in the meeting so that
Yeah,
he doesn't have to cool his heels for a long time.
that would be
Yeah.
good. Yeah, so maybe, and we'll make sure that it's a night that he can come. He's been teaching a lot of hours. Okay, next thing on the list is the tree removal. Elena Court made us a wonderful list of the trees that were in most need of going bye-bye in Crocker Industrial Park. And, pardon?
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. So,
Right, now, yeah, as you guys talked about before, these are all private property trees, so we were just trying to, I think what the next step that you were talking about was sending a letter to these businesses saying, if you would like to all get together, here would be a potential quote to do this,
yes,
because we can't demand that they do it.
not at all.
Is this a discounted price or is this just a price? We were going to try to get them a group discount. But
He said what he gave us on here was basically the price for the city, which is discounted.
okay, so this is as low as it gets
From Davy.
from Davy.
And weren't you gonna talk to someone else as well?
I've been in touch with Appleseed and Humboldt, and I heard back from Humboldt today saying they couldn't get to it yet. So I said well, maybe for next month, for next meeting. And I haven't heard anything from Appleseed besides an email confirming I have the list, we'll work on it.
And those are both Brisbane companies, right?
Yes.
Is there any other regional company that's, of the same, or kind of like Davy that might be able to?
I can look.
Yeah,
Okay.
this because before we actually send the letter out, I'd like to have at least done some due diligence and get another major player's quote. I think Humboldt might be a little bit small of a company for the size trees we're dealing with here. I mean, I drove by one of them today. I just went, "Oh man, that's gonna hurt when it comes down."
Tim, he'd love it.
He would love it, but this would be like a couple of years' work for him, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I can't speak to that,
Tim
but
will take a job that he doesn't think he can do.
yeah, he wouldn't take a job he didn't think he could do, which
So
is
we'll
probably
bring-
why he hasn't come back to us yet with
So we'll bring this back next time,
Okay.
hopefully with more information.
Yeah,
Um,
this is a really
My
good
impression
start.
is they're not going away.
Pardon?
My impression these trees are not going away anytime soon.
They may
Well,
fall down, but
One of them's gone.
Madam Chairman, why are we looking to remove these trees? I just can't
These
Dead.
all have the canker, the bark beetle,
Okay,
and these are all dead, like
okay,
dead or almost dead trees.
okay.
And-
Spreading the beetles.
Yeah, not only is it spreading it, but it's starting to produce, I think it's a hazard. And we were just looking to try to facilitate that in getting rid of them before. Because if we could actually get rid of the unhealthy and dead, dying, and really sick trees, the other trees might have a chance of surviving. Because there's some that seem to be resisting it and have resisted it for a while. But all of the ones in Crocker Industrial Park were planted within 5 years of each other. 5 to 10, no more than 10 years. They all seem to be of the same nursery stock, and they are going fast. And we will eventually lose probably 90% to 95% of the Monterey pines in this area. But
Two issues. One is I had, last time we talked about this, expressed interest in also looking into subsidized tree replacement. Like Friends of the Urban Forest or whatever, because I think we need both a carrot. I think we need two carrots, a carrot coming and a carrot going. Because we can't actually force them and we can't actually offer them as much as we'd like to,
and we have
as much
no-
incentive as we'd like to.
I contacted Friends of the Urban Forest and they said because we're not in San Francisco County,
Okay.
they can't help us out.
Okay.
So I contacted Canopy in Palo Alto and they said they'll get back to me.
Okay, great. And there was the place that provided the trees for the park. Would they be
Yeah.
a candidate?
I contacted her and I haven't heard back.
Okay.
So I'll
Okay.
try again.
I had another thought on this. Oh, tree species list. I think we should start, I would like to agendize next time if we could start working on that tree species list again
Yeah, I think that's a
so
good
that
idea.
get that ball back up in the air.
The other thing too, is Stuart, is there any possibility of us financing this? In other words, like acting as the kind of,
Where they'd pay us back?
they pay us back over time, yes.
Oh, there's always possibilities. Sure. I mean, I think maybe what you do then is get the other quotes next month, and then we'll maybe agendize it for the city council so that they're aware of it. And if you guys are gonna then maybe ask for a subsidy, and maybe in the meantime, I'll add that to my list of things to update the city council subcommittee on. That because what I was planning to do is update them on the Brisbane acres lot coverage, and then the ordinance covering the PV. So that way, as those things come forward to them, they're at least the subcommittee isn't surprised that they're beginning to see these items go to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I can
Yes.
add tree
That's
removal.
a great idea, Michelle. If it works.
Stuart, if the tree falls down the property owner's
Liable.
liable and their insurance covers the cost. Is there any way their insurance might cover the cost of tree removal without the tree coming down
It's
first?
quite unusual for an insurance company to be proactive.
Proactive.
Yeah,
I mean, as you know,
Already
as a
dead tree.
chiropractor, there's very few of them that will, send somebody who isn't
Yeah.
sick to you.
There's very few insurance companies will do much of anything for the most part, but yeah.
Okay, so I mean, it's the same
yeah.
You know,
problem.
We did discuss that possibility last time, and I think we tentatively decided it was not worth pursuing.
Okay.
That the odds
I'm
of
just
getting
thinking 'cause
anywhere
they're
were,
already dead, you know what
yeah.
I mean, it's not like they're not gonna come down. So how much damage do you wanna cover when they come down?
yeah.
So it seems to me they would wanna take them out.
they can stand there dead for quite a while, though. You know.
One windstorm, they all come down.
They
lose
come
power.
down.
You know, 20,
do, yeah.
if they could stay up there for another 5 years, that's 5 years more worth of claims and 5 years worth of interest that they're earning.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's,
I think the council might
Exactly how it works.
have appetite for being the lone financer for this, because it would definitely improve Crocker Industrial Park, and it would improve property values there. It would show our caring.
okay, so,
about
I mean,
it.
that's an interesting thought then, as you say that, is maybe what you do, as opposed to bringing it directly to council, bring it to the Economic Development Subcommittee and get them interested in it.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I mean, I'm just thinking as a way, so that way the economic development, I'll email it to your subcommittee, and then if we, agendize it for a conversation which is, I think, who is it now, Lori and Cliff on the economic development subcommittee?
That sounds right.
So, I mean, that might, and if you're gonna use it as an economic development incentive, and that we're gonna do, low interest financing of that, and maybe low interest financing of new trees.
Yeah, I'd like that if they feel it's appropriate.
Okay.
Okay. Next item. Staff updates from previous meeting items.
Gotten most of those, haven't we?
I think that we're pretty good on that.
I think, well, so I did,
They're good on it.
No. Go ahead, Natalie.
So since I contacted UPC about the wrong road last time, I contacted them about Tunnel Road, and they said, they do have a crew that clears it up whenever they can. It's been taking place every Monday for the last 2 years.
I have seen the same pile of tires out. And now it's better now that they've got the dumpsters in. I know there are reasons to
Problems
hate
with
the
that.
dumpsters. But before the dumpsters went in, I would see the same tires there for 2 months.
So chalk it, and then, take a picture, and then chalk it, and take another picture.
Oh, there
Wait
you
a
go.
second.
And the same garbage is there, and
Yeah.
the bushes are overhanging the road. The only thing that keeps them from completely growing on the road is the cars are whipping them off as they go by. I'm not kidding. It's pathetic. Oh well. Anyway,
And the last thing is, Caroline told me that the OSEC playbacks on TV will now be the 4th Wednesday of every month at 6:30.
And did she tell you why?
no.
Because Parks and Recreation Commission moved from the 4th Wednesday to the 3rd Wednesday. So it would be hard to replay the Open Space and Ecology Committee while the Parks and Recreation Commission was going on.
Okay.
So they now have the third Wednesday.
Yes.
We do the second Wednesday.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
When are they going to offer the whole series on Netflix?
Ooh, how exciting. We can make money,
Okay.
but it's free on ours.
So we need to set our next meeting date is when? That would be Wednesday, May. Sorry, I don't know what day of the week it is for once.
I swear I packed
May
my calendar,
14th?
but I can't find it.
May 14th?
That would be the second Wednesday.
Would it?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh.
Wednesday, May 14th is our next meeting. We still have to approve the minutes from the last meeting, and then we're done.
I just want to, while it's on my mind, I want to ask Natalie to agendize a little bit about the carbon calculator community education for next time, because I actually did make some progress on that. It's one of the few things I managed to not completely biff on this month. So, yeah, that's it.
Okay, is there a move to, accept the minutes from the last meeting?
It would be inappropriate for me to make the motions.
You didn't watch the tape?
You could move.
Is there, yes, no, yes?
I move to adopt the meeting notes.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
There we go.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Is there anything else before we adjourn? We're adjourned.
Do we have to
You're
move to
done.
adjourn?
You survived.
And next,
Oh my God, and we did it before 8:30.
I know. And I'm so excited that next week it's going to be Barbara, or next month it's going to be Barbara.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Barbara.
Really, really appreciate it.